Marie-Josée Berard. I'm from Montreal, Canada, and I've been in the Sunshine State for 23 years. I'm a very proud mom. My daughter is 24, and she's a professional soccer player. My son is 20. He's in the Navy's nuclear engineer, and he was home the last weekend. He left yesterday, so I'm a little sad, but I'm happy he's doing what he likes. I'm a business owner and a massage therapist. I've been doing medical massage for over 30 years. I'm also a CEU provider for the state of Florida. So what that means is that I create my own infant massage training, and I teach to other professionals. With the pandemic, I've been doing virtual baby massage because we can go with the baby. So any problem you have, I teach you, what you need to know, and I show you on the baby, and you can do it at home. So I've been having a great success online and happy to work with baby internationally. For the question of the baby, I always have a baby massage question. So you're thinking about a baby. If you look at the map of the brain, like we're going science here, which body part have the highest representation? So you're looking at the brain, how it works, and as a baby. So what have the highest representation will be the mouth, hands, and feet. There you go. So it's the three places that you are supposed to massage most at the beginning to help your brain. So, massage hands and feet, really easy. I'm going to show you for your mouth, baby mouth. So it's a circle muscle around the mouth. So I usually do sad face, happy face. So you make it as a game, sad face, happy face, massaging around the mouth. And for the face, you don't need oil. The face is usually, if it's dry, you can apply a little lotion, but something easy, sad face, happy face. That's the little question. We also always go with what is the day today. Today is September 23. And as an international day is the Energized Day. So it's the day after the autumnal equinox. So it's offer an opportunity to relax and rejuvenate. So since fall has officially arrived since yesterday, it's time to shift gears. So, summer, you run, go on vacation with your kids. It's not fall. So allow us to take a deep breath and be more mindful of our body, spirit, and the world around us. So just a little more calm with the fall season. Talking about the world around us, I always like to ask the viewer, where are you looking from? Oh, and I have somebody that say right here, Elizabeth, don't forget about me. No, I'm not going to forget about you. Yes, I have parents to give me some question. That's funny. So no, I don't forget about you. We'll answer your question later. And so go ahead, write where you're looking the show from. The special guest is from Canada. And, every part I have, let's say for my French-Canadian, de où vous regardez, écrivez dans le commentaire pour regarder d'où vous regardez. And for my Spanish friend, ¿dónde están? Escuchando, escribir su locación, ¿dónde están? So I wish I speak more languages, but I have 3. So that is it for now. So just let us know where you are looking from. Perfect. So it's time to introduce my very special guest. I met Kensey on Instagram. It was kind of funny the way we met, but she's so full of energy and always make great information posts. So if you're on Instagram, her Instagram is sleep.easy.clinic. So that's where you can find her on Instagram. Let me read her bio. Kensey is a board-certified behavior analyst and certified child sleep consultant with over 12 years of clinical experience in parent coaching. She's empowered parents in supporting their children's sleep need, taking into consideration a child's temperament, development, and parents' values and goals. Kensey believed that sleep shaping is about supporting children in a way that complement their unique progression so you can feel restful, not stressful. I really like that. She lives in Ontario, Canada, my Canadian friend, and with her son and partner. So welcome. There she is. Here. Hi, you'll be there.
How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you. I was looking at your last name as Butkovich.
Close. Yeah, Butkovich.
Butkovich. Is it Irish?
No, it's Lithuanian.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is so cool. I have like people from all over the world, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. I saw in the post that also that you love animal and wanted to be a marine biologist. So
Yes.
what happened?
That's a long time ago. Yeah, as a kid, I loved animals.
Let me see if you are able to. Do you have your volume? Is it the highest?
Yes, it's the highest. Can you hear me?
Yes, it's better now. I guess it was mine. It was my side. Okay, now I can hear.
Yeah, no, as a kid, I absolutely loved
Love
animals,
animals.
and it was something that I was really passionate about. And instead, I did a little shift as I got older.
What happened?
I think it's that I started to work with kids, and I found that my passion really was working with kids. And I was started in
Mm.
daycares, and then I got into supporting kids with autism, and then I had my own child, and then I was helping families with sleep.
Oh, well, that's a step by step.
Yeah, nice little progression.
I have kind of the same story because I've been doing massage for 30 years, but because I'm trained in Canada and it's 3 years of school, and here they still have like only like 6 months. Now they like up to a year of school, but
Like that.
well, not too many people do the pregnancy and baby, but
Yeah.
I've been doing the pregnancy from the beginning, but until I got pregnant is really then when I'm like, oh, okay, this is not fun. Well, some people it's easy for them, but it was good because I have almost like everything that could happen, so then I can really
Yeah.
understand and help
Yeah,
pregnant women.
exactly.
Yeah, because yeah, it's an adventure. Good. So let's dive into the subject
Yeah.
because a lot of people don't know, and I don't know too much either about what is sleep training.
Yeah. So sleep training is a very controversial thing because a lot of individuals really equate it to what sleep training used to only be, which was cried out, where you say goodnight to your child, you put them in their crib, and you shut the door and you don't see them till the morning. However, sleep training really has changed. And I don't know if sleep training is such an appropriate name. I like to look at it as sleep coaching or sleep supporting. Essentially, you're helping your child sleep in whatever way you're comfortable with and that they need. So you're really looking at matching how you're supporting them in a way that complements where they're at developmentally and their temperament and their personality. So that's what my definition is of it.
Yeah, I like that new name because I talk to a lot of mom and they're like, oh yeah, we try it and it was so stressed out and we have to go, and I'm like, no. That's why you have to listen to her because she's so
Yes.
amazing. It's like because I was looking at your stuff and you really like work with individual need. It's not like, oh, okay, everybody have to do that because everybody is
Yes.
different.
Yeah, in my 12 years, especially working with kids who have autism, no two plans are the same. And it's really important to remember that just like sleep and personalities, we each have our own little unique needs. And so your sleep needs and my sleep needs are very different. And so how I approach sleep is going to be very different than how you approach sleep. And that's the same with babies and newborns and toddlers and preschoolers, whatever age, it doesn't matter. And so it's really important that, especially I find with parents with multiple children, they often think, I did this with my first child, I'm going to do it again with my second child. But then they are wondering, why is this not working? What's wrong with my child? But it's not. We just had the wrong method, the wrong approach for that child, and their sleep needs are different.
Yes. Makes sense.
As mama of two, I'm pretty sure you know about it, where they have different personalities, right? Different needs.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're going to come to you for different things. They're going to need a different type of love from you as well. Like their love language is different. And so that's
Yes.
really important to keep in mind.
Yes. 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 I agree 100%. So, if we talk about sleeping, we'll start with the newborn because I have a lot of
Yeah.
mom with newborn, and I was looking also. They were saying, that I guess you said the Pediatrician Association saying that for a night's sleep it's 5 hours. So,
Yeah,
what?
so by
Yeah.
definition, like sleeping throughout the night, that would be sleeping 5 hours is equivalent to, sleeping throughout the night. That's the definition. A lot of people think that your child has to sleep 12 hours solid throughout the night, and that's what you need to achieve. But it's not true. A lot of kids need between the hours of 10 to 12 hours for adequate sleep. And as we get older, the amount of sleep that we actually need decreases. So it's really important to keep in mind, especially for newborns. And there's a couple of reasons why newborns wake up a lot, both for day sleep and night sleep. So for day sleep, we have this protein in our body, and it's called adenosine. And basically, what it is it's this protein that fills up in our brain, fills up, fills up. And then with newborns, their brains are so small that they can only handle small levels of this protein. And then basically, what happens is when the protein fills up, it sends signals to the brain that the body has to feel drowsy. I need to get rid of this protein. So your body feels drowsy, you go for a sleep, and you wake up feeling refreshed because the protein's gone from your brain. So with newborns, because their brains are so small, they're able to fill up their brain with protein very quickly, but also they take so many naps and their brain gets rid of that protein equally as fast. And so that's why you see a lot of naps around 5 to 7 for newborns. But as they develop, when they get older, the brains get bigger and you see nap transitions taking place. They're going from, 5 naps to 4 naps to then 3 to 2 to 1 to no naps because the brain's able to withstand that protein for longer periods of time, not needing as much sleep. And then
Okay.
at nighttime, it's important for newborns because their stomachs are small. And I'm talking like cherry size small when they are born. And so the reason why they wake up frequently and to eat is they're genuinely hungry because their body is really processing that food and the digestive system's getting kicked into gear. And so they're requiring more food because their stomach is the size of a cherry. And so it's very normal for them to wake up often. And I'm talking like 2 to 3 hours throughout the day.
Yes, it's like as a new parent, you get really tired, but it's part of
Yes. Yes, it's a part of it, and I think, well, when I became a sleep consultant, this is why I became a sleep consultant because there's not a lot of information out there around newborn sleep of the actual realities of newborn sleep. And so parents see on social media these babies sleeping 12 hours a night, all night, but it's a veil. You don't actually see the baby waking up throughout those nights, right? Sure, as a newborn, my son would sleep 10, 12 hours at night, but he'd wake up 3, 4, 5 times,
yeah,
right? And that's
yeah.
what's important for newborn parents to remember that, and it's hard when you're in the thick of it and you're so sleep deprived, but narrowing in on your child and their needs and looking at what is, normal for their sleep versus comparison of looking at other newborns.
Yes. So, yeah, again, everybody's different.
Yeah.
And yet, also, like, it depends also if they breastfeed or bottle feed. Breastfeeding, they're going to need to wake up um, more often because they're going to
Yeah.
be hungry more often.
Yeah, so the body digests formula and breast milk a little bit differently. There is a big myth out there when it comes to feeding that formula will help a baby sleep longer, or if you put cereal in a bottle, the baby will help, sleep. I'm
Yes.
telling you, my son struggled with sleep. He struggled, and I'm a sleep consultant. Um, and we tried formula and it did not work to help him sleep longer. It's just his temperament. He just needed more connection from me, and he needed more support. And that was just his demeanor when it came to sleep.
Yeah, that's why, like, even as a massage therapist, like, when I start the baby massage, like, the number one thing that people were calling, it was for, I want my baby to sleep more. I was like,
Yeah.
so that's how I started too with the, like, sleeping, and massage help a lot with the sleeping, but it's like, it's massage can do other stuff too. So then I'm like, educate people about other things that massage can help, but that's really like the number one, like, oh yeah, I
Yes.
want my baby to sleep more. And I was like, okay, like, it's a technique we can do and a help, but it's like a whole team. Like, we can all work together. And I know, like, you were talking about the breastfeeding also. You have
Yeah.
the friend, or
Yeah, Morgan from
Morgan, yeah.
Morgan. She's at Prepared Beginnings Lactation. Absolutely fabulous. She is a mama to two, and she shares her story about breastfeeding and her struggles with it. And we actually have a joint service where we offer newborn sleep and newborn feeding consultation, where you get 60 minutes with me and 45 minutes with Morgan. And we go into what it actually is and help you be prepared, whether you're expecting or you actually have a newborn and you're in the thick of it and you're like, what do I do? What's normal? What's not?
Yeah, and I like the preparation also to do it, because when you have the baby, is so many things going on. It's harder to um, do training, or it's still time, but it's so much easier if you can do it before and get ready when the baby arrives.
Yeah, a lot of moms, what I found with our consults is they'll do 30 minutes sleep before baby to understand what to expect. And then they'll do 30 minutes after baby comes. Once they get, their rhythm and then they actually start seeing
Yes.
things, then they'll come back for the other 30 minutes to then be like, okay, from what we learned, this is what I'm seeing. What do I do with my child? How does this apply to my baby? And then we go into their baby individual sleep needs, which is really nice.
Yes, yes, to have already an idea before, like, the whole thing happened.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, like, you have the baby, so now you really can practice what.
Yes.
And Alec, can you talk a little bit about, like, the different stages? Because as a new parent, if the teething, or then it's
Yeah.
like at 7 months, it's more like the something else going on.
Yeah.
They start crawling, so the brain work differently. And I like to tell my parents, like, they're like, oh no, my baby's not sleeping, and there's nothing wrong. It's just you know what
Yeah,
to happen. So can you talk a little bit about that?
for sure. So a lot of people call these sleep regression. So your child's going back to an undesired previous sleep state. And I just don't like that term. It just doesn't sit well for me. And as a new mom, I was just like, why are we calling these like regressions when this is a time to celebrate? They are learning new skills. And so I call them sleep progressions because it can be tiresome for us. However, it's an exciting time for them because, like you said, it means something is happening in them, whether it's a physical development, whether it's language, it's cognitive, not cognitive, it's emotional, whatever it might be, there's some sort of development happening in your child, which is exciting. And so, what happens during these times is the brain will prioritize these new skills over sleep. So, for example, if your child's learning to walk, you might see your child trying to walk in their crib and practicing at night instead of sleeping. And this is something that is normal to see. And so I always encourage family, if they're starting to see, sleep be disrupted, look at the schedule, look at the environment. Is there any teeth happening? And look at if there's any new skills that they're trying to practice. And if they're in the middle of a progression, to practice those skills. So if they're learning to sit, you're practicing to sit all day. Help them through that. When it comes to
Mhm.
milestones, we can't force our child to meet a milestone, but we can certainly help them achieve that by practicing. And the same thing with sleep. We cannot force our child to sleep. We cannot force them to eat, right? And so we can
Mhm.
do all these different things to encourage it, to invite it, but really it comes down to them and when they're ready to do it.
Okay. Um, I don't know, something popped in my head, but from what we said at the beginning about the sleep training, and I
Yeah,
know I'm like 51 now, so I'm like kind of the whole school. And it was like the time they were saying, no, you had to let your baby cry, but then, I was kind of in between with my
yeah.
kids. But because as a massage therapist, I always go and um, take them and, I don't know, I'll let them to let them cry. But um, what would your input on that and what
Yeah.
parents?
So when it comes to sleep methods, I am not one to shame parents for their parenting decisions. I don't think any other parents have the right to kind of sit there and be like, you are doing it wrong when they are not there. They are not the parent. They are not the child. And so I
Mhm.
always use the phrase, mind your own motherhood, because you
Like that?
just aren't there, right? And
Uh-huh.
so there are people are going to do cry it out. My parents did cry it out with me. And so I look at it as, there are other approaches. And that's where I come with my education of these are the different positions or different methods you can use for sleep training. You're going to find one that complements your needs and your child's needs, and you're going to do what's best for your family. And so, with me, in terms of my Instagram, I'm just sharing information with parents. I'm not telling parents what they should or should not do. And so, I really think, especially nowadays where people are so quick to judge without getting the full narrative, I really want people to just mind their own motherhood or fatherhood or caregiverhood, whatever you are to that child,
Yes.
and just really focus on your own family in terms of what their needs are. And we just don't know the story behind another family, and we don't know if there's trauma, if there's, they don't have the knowledge, right? Or this is what they are
Yes.
most comfortable with, or if there's something else going on that we're not privy to, nor should we have the right to have that information just because they're sharing
Mhm.
that information.
Yes, yeah, I agree completely. And also, like, I was reading about the co-sleeping, and that's the attitude you have. It's like
Yeah.
we're not there. That's a private decision, and you're there to support them, but just be safe.
Yes. So I'm very open about my experience with my son. I had to co-sleep for my own mental health period. I
Okay.
had postpartum anxiety pretty bad, and so he only wanted me. He was very attached to me,
Hmm.
and my spouse really tried to support myself and our son, but he didn't want, and I was breastfeeding solely or exclusively. And he's now sleeping in his crib all night. We did sleep training, but I did it in a way that felt right to me. And I followed him in my cues to know when we were going to move to the next step of it. And really, it's important to remember that people are going to do stuff even if you tell them not to do it. And so, as educators, we have a duty to share information for them to do it in the safest way possible. It's the same thing with schools, right? You share information not to tell children to go do something, but if they are going to do it in the safest way possible. And so
Yes.
I don't share information on co-sleeping in terms of promoting it because I'm not in the house to regulate what the mom or dad are doing. And
Yes.
I did it in a way that was safe for us and I felt comfortable with it. My spouse felt comfortable with it, and what worked for us. And so I'm very cautious when I share my co-sleeping story. I don't
Mhm.
share how I did it. I don't share about how I
Mhm.
went about it because I don't want people trying to model what I did and then having to bet see something happens and then
Mhm.
it's because of me sharing that. And so I did share information on co-sleeping, but I shared the benefits and the cons against co-sleeping and the dangers of it so that
Yes.
parents, again, have this information and can then make an informed decision on what they feel they need to do for their family.
Yes, for all the parents, like you just connect with Kensey. She can help you with that, and
Yeah.
be safe.
I really, looking at thinking about my families, about 90% of my families that come to me are co-sleeping and no longer want to do co-sleeping, and we transition them through that. And so a lot, I'd say even that probably is a higher number, probably off, where parents are just they don't want to do it anymore, and that's up to them, and they come to me for
Mhm.
that support.
Well, and it's funny too because sometimes I see some parents like they're really like they're doing it for the kids be better. But then I realize talking to them, it's really about them, not the kids. So that
Yeah.
sometimes it's like I'm like, oh, okay, and then they're like, yeah, we put the baby in the crib and he sleep better when he's in the crib, and I was like, okay, it's about the baby right now.
Right? And there are different types of co-sleeping. There is co-sleeping because your baby needs it versus, and it's called reactive, where you're doing it because your child needs it, not because you want to do it. So you're doing it because it's the easiest way because they'll just go to sleep and they won't cry or they won't, not want it. Versus co-sleeping where it works for both of you, both your child and you. So if it's no longer working for you, it's time for a change. I always say that with sleep props too. If you're feeding your baby to sleep, if you're using a pacifier, whatever sleep props you're using, there's no good or bad sleep props. It's just sleep props that don't work for you anymore, or sleep props that do work. For Griffin, my son, I nurse him. I used to nurse him to sleep. That no longer works for him. He uses a pacifier that works for him. And so each baby's needs will be different. And I really caution parents to kind of um, go in there and change those sleep props if they are working for the child and they're not inhibiting that sleep. We all have comfort items. We all do different things to help us feel comfort and to help us sleep. And this should be the same thing for our infants and our toddlers and our preschoolers.
Yeah, and like you said, it's every like I'm thinking about the parents. Like when it's one, okay, you get like one thing to deal with, but then you get more kids.
Yeah,
Like, ah!
right.
So I have a mom was telling me that they come back from school, and then the 5 years old is tired, so then he's going to bed. They like they were playing, eating a little bit after school, doing the homework, and then by 5 o'clock he's like falling asleep, and then you wake up, it's
Yeah.
like 10 o'clock, and then she's like, I don't know what to do. Then it's 10 o'clock, and he's ready for the day, but supposed to
Yeah,
go.
I like to do like car drives on the way home. So if they're crashing at 5, I encourage to, if they're going to fall asleep in the car seat, let like a 10 to 15-minute nap happen where takes that edge off of that sleep pressure, that drowsiness. And especially if they're doing new things like school and they're out and about, that protein in their brain's going to increase quicker and it's going to fill up much
Mhm.
faster. And so that's something that can kind of take the edge off where they're not really losing it. And then I encourage for connection time, before taking off in the car and before you put them in the car seat, maybe get them a little snack in the car with you so you can have some connection time. And then you can kind of talk about the day and then they go in the car seat and you might have a drive home and that could be their 10-minute nap. And then you can do bedtime around regular bedtime. And that might help them get through that kind of, hangry time, but also that time where they're crashing because they're just exhausted.
Yeah, I guess you have to see what's going on. If they're really tired, do you wake them up, or like in that
Yeah.
scenario? I was like, okay, you slept until 10, and I was like, okay, how you kind of go back to normal after that?
Yeah. So when you go back to, I would just go right back into the schedule. It's the same thing with like vacation, if they're sick, right? You're going to not follow the
Mhm.
plan. You're going to do what you need to do to support your child in that moment. And then once everything's good, you're going to go right back into what you're doing before and go right back into the same schedule to support them.
Okay, makes sense. Just to
Yeah.
go back to the schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, a lot of parents were like, should we wake them up when they sleep? And I'm like, well, I don't know.
Yes, if it's before bedtime and it's before 6 p.m., you're waking them.
Okay. Perfect. It's so funny because well, it was not about, well, it's about sleep, but it was about waking up. And when my son was 5 years old, um he decided he didn't want to get up anymore in the morning, and I was like, what I'm gonna do? And then I was like, I had a friend that she had a parenting school, and I was like, I don't know what to do. Should I like splash water in his face? He doesn't want to get up. Like, we need to go to school. And she was like, do you want a man that's going to ask his wife to wake him up in the morning? And I'm like, no. So she's like, it's all on him. She's like, buy him an alarm clock and make him put him his alarm clock and get up. And I did.
Yeah.
I never had any problem. He just put his alarm. The alarm go on. He go on. And since she told me that problem resolved.
A lot of the time, it's us that are holding the kids back because we're not ready. So a
Yes.
lot of the time they're ready for the next step or whatever that might look like, but it's our apprehension or our nervousness not to let go because it's our baby, right? We don't want them, or it's our last child, or
Yes.
you're in your favorite phase with them and you just don't want to go to the next phase because might be horrible. Often a lot of the time it's us that are kind of causing that issue. I can say that because I've done it myself. And so it's really when something's coming up, it's taking a step back and it's thinking to yourself, am I the problem?
Well,
Am
I
I
think we
so
don't realize when we're in the middle of it. So that's why I'm like, if you have a problem, like, parents, just
bad?
call Kensey, because it could cause like so many heartache, and it's so easy when you.
Yeah. And you don't know, like you said, when you're in the thick of it and you're so sleep deprived. And then when you have someone come in that's not a part of your family, not a part of the current situation, I can be like, ooh, it's this. And you're like, I never thought of that. Okay. Or I think we should do this. And the person's like, I don't know if I'm ready. I'm like, I think you are. And then I help coach them through that. So it's sometimes needing that extra voice because your inner voice inside you is telling you don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't let go. But really your brain knows it's time, but your heart's kind of holding on.
Yeah. But yes, just call me after. Okay, I have another question. The baby is 11 months. It was sleeping pretty good until then, and then
Yeah.
now it's like waking up like every hour. So the
Yeah.
mom is just like, what happened? So I'm like, okay, I'll just ask.
Yeah. So one of the progressions is 12 months. So there's a progression at 8 and 10 months, and there's one at 12 months as well. And so a lot of the time, what's happening is we're not adjusting the schedules as the baby ages. And so we're keeping the same schedule, but really they're able to handle larger wakings. And
Mhm.
sometimes what happens around this age, around 11, 12, 13 months, is they start refusing sleep. And we think that they need to go down to one nap. Don't do it. Don't do it. Hold on to that second nap as long as you can. And sometimes what's happening is they're sleeping all of their sleep in the 24-hour period during the day, and they're getting up at night because they slept all day. And so it's really being mindful of how much they're sleeping during the day, making sure that they're getting enough nutrients throughout the day, the calories. As they get older, feeding nutrition is their wakings. Once they get older, their wakings are probably not because of nutrition. When they're up to 18 months, they can still wake for feedings. And so it's not uncommon to see that. And so it's kind of going through a checklist. I call it my sleep foundations, and I call it rested. So you're looking at releasing control, right? Are you somehow holding back your kiddo in some aspect of their sleep? It's looking
Mhm.
at your engagement with them. Are you engaging with your child throughout the day and filling up their love bucket and getting that engagement? Looking at their schedule, you're following an age appropriate schedule. And I have a whole bunch of posts on this on Instagram at Sleep Easy. Their temperament, are you using appropriate sleep expectations based upon their temperament? Are you supporting them in the way that they need it? Looking at the
Mhm.
environment, is it appropriate sleep environment? Is it dark? Is it cool? Are you using a sound machine? Are you using a sleep sack? And then also looking at, again, a dietary thing where are they getting enough calories throughout the day? So I always look at those and I use the rested to help kind of go through it like a puzzle. Okay, this is done, this is done, this is done, and kind of going as a checklist down to making sure you're covering all your bases. And going through that will help you to figure out why. A big thing at this age too is if you are helping them go to sleep at bedtime and they're waking up throughout the night, they're expecting you to help them go back to sleep and how you put them down. And so at this age, they can definitely go down to at bedtime from an awake state. And often this is what's happening, where they're wanting the extra support, but they don't necessarily need it. So it's kind of looking at how you're supporting them with their sleep, and if you are kind of their sleep prop, you're kind of their pacifier. You're kind of like, and if that
Yeah.
works for you, and that's good, that's all the power to you, right? But if it's not
Yes.
working, then you got to make a change.
Okay. Yeah, that was what like bring up that question. Like,
Yep.
and that's around that time, right? A year old that they can't really maybe just stay there a little bit and look around and.
Yeah, there's a lot of cause and effect at that age, around 12. Separation anxiety peaks at this age again. They're really trying to figure out their environment and where they are in that environment in terms of their position. So it's really keeping that in mind. Communication explosion at 12 months. If they're just starting to walk too, some babies start walking.
Yeah.
That's a huge, huge sleep disruptor at that age. And so keeping that in mind too, if they're teething and discomfort, that's something to keep in mind as well. Griffin went from a
Mhm.
period where he was cutting 5 teeth at once, and it was hard for 2 weeks.
Ooh,
Lots
yeah.
of wakings, lots and lots of wakings.
Mhm.
And so you just kind of roll with it. With parenthood, it's learning to be more malleable, learning how to roll with those sleep hiccups rather than trying to stop them. So being able to be flexible when teething comes up with your expectations. When
Yes.
growth spurts, if they're going through a growth spurt, they're going to start needing more calories. They're going to possibly cluster feed and want more food. And so it's
Mm.
really learning how to like know when, okay, this is the sleep expectation versus can need a bend because they're going through something right now and they need a little bit more around that.
Yeah, that's important for the parents to understand that it's just what the baby is going through, and.
Yeah. They're not doing it to be malicious. They're not doing it to get under your
Mhm.
skin. They're not doing it to make you mad. They really are not being manipulative. I can promise
Yeah,
you
and
that.
also not your fault. You're not doing anything
You're
that.
not doing anything
Yeah.
wrong. It's
Uh,
just taking a step back and figuring out from a different picture, the bigger picture of what's happening here. Taking a step back, taking a breath, that often really helps.
okay, that's really awesome. Before we close, do you have anything you would like to add for her viewer?
Yeah, so I have a bunch of freebies on my Instagram that can support. Right now, it's a lot of toddler and a lot of preschooler stuff. So I have free visual schedules. I have free tickets that you can give your kids to cash in if they keep popping out. That's a big toddler issue. I have some behavior stuff in there. You can also reach out to me, and I have some free newborn guides and newborn supports. So you can just message me on Instagram and ask me for those, and I can send you the link. I have a really great blog library that covers all the ages, and that can really be supportive to you if you just want to figure out something quickly. I have all that information on my website at sleepeasyclinic.com.
So I just put it down. What about the blog? Is it on your website?
It's on my website. Yep. And I
Okay.
just did a blog on newborn witching hours. I say hours because a lot of people say witching hour and it's not an hour.
Uh-huh.
No, No. So I just did a blog and I talk about Dr. Karp's 5 S's of soothing. Then I add 3 of my personal favorites. So it's really 8 steps to help you combat your newborn
Awesome.
fussy times. And I really loved writing this blog because it really brought back memories from when Griffin was a newborn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When are you going to have another one?
We shall see. Time will tell.
Take your time. Take your time. I have 5 years between mine, so you still got time.
You never know.
Uh-huh. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
information, and for the viewer, Kensey support really information using sleep science, so she just don't get it from
Just randomly.
that's like, and that's what I like about you, is a lot of education, a lot of science, and we didn't do too much about behavior.
Yeah.
Let's
We can always come back to that too. We can always do
No.
another live.
Yeah, because there's so much to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's all about science, and she create like the perfect plan for you and the family, that's going to work for you. So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank
And
you for having me.
another one.
It was so much fun.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. For next month, we have the honor to interview Michelle Brown. She's a mom of 3. She's the owner of I Helped Mom. So she's so cool. She's also a CrossFit coach. So remember, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. Thank you so much for being with us, and I will see you next month. Ciao.